Hello, everybody. Hope you're doing fantastically well. I certainly am. The debrief is back, and Jesse Marsch is certainly not back. Fantastic news today. Jesse has been relieved of his duties. Listen, thank you, Jesse, for your nice man appearance and tone, and the dulcet way of and dulcet charms, I should say. He's a very nice chap, but a Premier League football manager, absolutely not. Leeds struggled yesterday against a below average Nottingham Forest side, definitely the dominant side in the first half, but as per usual, Leeds were struggling to create. Lost the game. Forest didn't play particularly well whatsoever. A newly promoted team were able to beat Jesse Marsch's side once again. Leeds absolutely downturning, spiralling toward the championship. And I think that decision that Leeds have made today will be a crucial one. Obviously, 18 games to remain in the Premier League. We need to chalk off 10th to 14th. I thought that's where we'd be aiming now. But is it just Leeds staying in the Premier League? It probably is. We're going to entertain David Brown, who's coming on later on. But my co-host right at this moment in time is going to be Gabe, and we're going to get into a couple of your comments right now. I've been waiting since 11 for this, Connor. I did a live stream. I don't know if anybody caught it, but you can go back and watch my instant sacking reaction. Evening, buddy. Good to see you. I need some sort of Leeds t-shirt or hoodie soon. Yeah, I need to update it, mate. I've still got Rafinha as my merch, and should we just leave it like that? But yeah, no, I'll definitely get something updated. This should be a wild debrief. Where to start? Smash a like. Good evening, Connor. As I say, guys, Brownie should be on in about 10 minutes time, but we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of it with Gabe so far. Our resident American. How you doing, mate? Okay.
I'm getting ready to get the sack today from you guys. Since after all, I'm only here for Jesse Marsch, right?
That's it. We're getting rid of you after this, aren't we? You're off. That's it. You're following Marsch. You're following Marsch to Coventry City or something.
I was actually working on a Marsch impression to bring in to our chat soon, but I guess it won't be necessary now. Too triggering for Brownie.
That's it. Look, Paul's saying Gabe out. No, we've got rid of Marsch. We've got to get rid of you, Gabe. So there's 1,000 of you already in the building, which is insane. Don't worry, Brownie will be here as well. I'm sure me and Gabe were just talking off air, and I'm sure you're all ready and waiting for Brownie to have the champagne at the ready. But make sure you're liking the video, please, everybody. It'd be great. Can we get a like for Leeds moving up the table? Make sure you subscribe as always. Bielsa or Corbran, L straight in. Neither for me, Gabe. Neither for me. And we've just had confirmation actually from Graham Smythe of the Yorkshire Evening Post, and he has said that apparently he is not the top name. They like Corbran, but he's not the top name. So make of that what you will. I'm kind of happy at that, Gabe. Are you? I think we need maybe a different option right now.
Yeah, as long as I don't see Chris Armas.
Oh,
do you remember when he joined and I was like, hey, no need to worry about this. There's no chance that he actually manages them.
Yeah, I know. It's your fault again, Gabe.
Yeah, so somebody go cut it up and put it on the net.
Yeah. But yeah, Jeremy said Armas is worse than Jesse. 13% win. We can't have this guy in charge. I think Joe Donahue said today that apparently we're looking at getting a manager in by Wednesday. Is that going to happen? Who knows? But I tell you what a story arc. Chris Armas, a story arc who pretty much got bullied out the door at Manchester United and laughed out the door being in charge against Man United would be the most Leeds thing ever, Gabe.
If Chris Armas is coaching the team, I'll literally wait at least 90 days till after he's sacked to show my face on Leeds again, because there'd be people waiting at the train station to just smash my face in. I mean, it's just, oh my God, no.
I'll say it again. No. Who do you want, Connor? I do like Ange Postecoglou. I can't tell a lie that I love his football. I love what he's done at Celtic, and he's not improved it there as well. He's done it bits in Australia. He's done it in Japan. A little bit of a revolutionary when it comes to football. So we'll see what happens. But there's a lot of people putting around Poch and Zidane.
Zidane's not coming. I'm surprised that you'd want him. I mean, especially after what happened with Gerrard. I mean, Gerrard did great in the Scottish League and came over here and was an absolute dud. I mean, there are two teams in Scotland. So
right.
You're either going to win it with Rangers or win it with Celtic. Do you know what I mean?
Right. But surely that doesn't mean that they're a bad manager just because there's two. It's like the players, right? I mean, how many good players has there been up there who've been able to transition to the Premier League? Like before these players came down, everyone would be like, well, they're playing in the Scottish League. But like players like Virgil van Dijk literally have come down and have been absolutely exponential in this division. So I do think it can. I know what you mean. And I know what others mean when it comes to, it's Scotland, but I think you've got to watch his teams and watch what he's doing there to really get a vibe of how he's changed things around at Celtic. But yeah, it is a fair argument. It is a fair argument, 100%. And there's a lot of people talking about Knutson. There's a lot of people talking about managers alike, and that's his job, isn't it, Gabe? It's not for us to speculate and accumulate. It is up to Victor.
Neil Warnock.
What did we hear today, mate? What do we hear today? Yeah, we don't want to speculate to accumulate. But what I heard today on the grapevine was that apparently Victor Orta was in one of the. This is reported by The Athletic. I'm paraphrasing here, but he wanted him to stay. And apparently, it was a majority outvoting. Apparently, the San Francisco 49ers were pretty ruthless, which is good to hear because a lot of people were saying they were marketing their man, and me and you were coming on here and saying, look, if they're not happy with what's going on, they'll get rid. And it sounds like from what we're reading, they wanted to get rid of him prior, and maybe people at Leeds didn't want to let him go, which is very, very interesting.
We spoke about this a little bit offline, and I think a little bit in one of the previous streams, is that there were rumblings before that maybe Marsch was not the guy the 49ers want to persist with.
Yeah.
The idea, I think what we found is that Andrea Radrizzani and Victor Orta are maybe too sentimental with players and managers and that, right? I mean, obviously it didn't Brownie would kill me if you heard me say that, but it's not. Look, I think that there are very few people who are going to come on here and say that this was the wrong decision to make. Mm-hmm. I am pleased that the 49ers group has shown that, again, if they're going to splash around this kind of money, which I know we're sort of, many of us are talking about the signings as March signings, but I would say pretty much every one of these players can play under a good manager, right? I mean, look at Maximilian Vober the other day. It was class again, right? So this is a Premier League player, I think. And
I think my only annoyance is that the fullbacks, I wish they'd have just invested in proper fullbacks, because we know in proper systems, like with proper managers, no offense, Jesse, but we're talking top tier managers, they're going to want overlapping fullbacks. They're going to want to play with width. They're going to, we know that fullbacks are literally some of the most important positions as our wingers in the Premier League right now and in the world right now. So, I mean, my first signing, whoever's going to be in charge, Gabe, I'd love them to go out and get Jed Spence, who's just moved out to France, and already he's in the first game he's played, he's ripping it up. But anyway, there's no need to go on about signings again. But that's the point. That the point is fullbacks are so important right now, and that's the only thing I think the squad isn't set up for. But I tell you what, Gabe, is this squad good enough? By God, it is good enough to stay in this division. So we need to see a little bit more when it comes to that. But I'm just going to read out Justin Odell's comment here. It's like a tyrant has fallen. The Yorkshire Spring has begun.
War of the Roses all over again. Huh?
Great comment, Justin. Cheers, mate. Thanks for the donation as well, bud. But yeah, so I mean, I'll tell you what, Gabe, we'll throw out some names. I think I've just mentioned Carlos Corberán. For me, this is a no. I love Corberán. I love the project and what he's doing. He did excellent at Huddersfield. Obviously, didn't work out for him at Olympiacos. Massive club, biggest club in Greece, obviously. Some might say Panathinaikos, and then obviously he's done really well with West Bromwich Albion. But right now, the position we're in, it's our fault, Gabe. This is our fault. Mm-hmm. The planning and the execution of Jesse Marsch has put us in this similar position again, where we've got less than 20 games to go and we need to stay in the Premier League. I don't think that's a job for Carlos Corberán. I understand the long project thing, but I think you can get a manager who's going to come in, really shore us up defensively, make us a little bit more expansive, who maybe is of a next level to Carlos Corberán at the minute. But I think we all appreciate what Corberán's about in terms of what he's done in his career so far.
I'll have to admit, I didn't know a ton about Carlos before today, actually. So I knew that he had been an assistant, that he was down in the for Bielsa, who Bielsa trusted quite a bit, and then he was coaching in the championship. So I didn't really know much about his style of play. And that, look, I think that championship experience can be packaged in a number of different ways. I mean, when Frank Lampard came out of Derby County, despite the fact that he took them from their one position and didn't improve it at all, he was getting all sorts of plaudits, and he had better players than any of the previous managers before him, right? So I think that, it's hard to say. What I will say is that he has a connection to the club. He'll be familiar with the club's infrastructure, who the major players are in terms of decision-making, all that kind of stuff, and probably be a seamless fit there. But in terms of, I don't think
it's a 49ers, man, Gabe. The 49ers aren't going to look at that.
No, probably not. And to be honest, like, we're in a different position in a number of different ways. I mean, where we are on the table is not different, right? But the biggest difference is we've spent a ton of money. We have a lot of good players for any manager to look at and say, like, it's not, I mean, the way Marsch walked into the team last time, I mean, those players that Bielsa had to trot out wasn't, with the exception of Rafinha, we can talk about Calvin Phillips. He wasn't playing. So, like, there weren't a lot of great options. Now, I mean, you've got Sinisterra. I know Brendan Aaronson's been out of form, but the first 10 games of the season looked really good, was getting praise from across the Premier League. You've got Jack Harrison, who's played well in stints. You've got Ruder, a £35 million signing. You have Patrick Bamford, who at one point scored 17 league goals. You've got Tyler Adams, who hasn't just played well for Leeds. I know there's that argument that he's a Jesse Marsch player, but played tremendously at the World Cup for the USA. Had played really well for Julian Nagelsmann at Leipzig before Tedesco came in and didn't rate him. So, you know, McKennie from Juventus. I mean, the list goes on. There are good players at Leeds. Before the January transfer window, we were talking about the squad needs to be upgraded. It has been. And this is a squad that if you're a manager looking in, the only reason I would say go for a guy like Luis Enrique or Pochettino is because the players are really good. Leeds is a big club. It's not like walking into Southampton. No offense if you're Southampton.
Is it a little bit ambitious though, Luis Enrique?
It's absolutely ambitious. But if you
Freddie, by the way.
If you give that guy a ton of money, like, and say, all right, and we're going to back you in the next transfer window. It's Leeds United. I mean, Leeds United is a massive football club. So,
Luis Enrique?
I think you try to go for a Luis Enrique. You try to go for a Pochettino. You're going to know pretty quickly whether that's going to work or not. Yeah, and then if not, then you go to the next choices. You have to be ambitious and aim high.
I think the right thing they've got to do now is mediate between obviously the time that it's going to take. So we need a manager in right now. There's no use in waiting 2 weeks. We don't have that privilege. But getting it right, as in if you're going for like ridiculously high profile managers, that's going to take time, right? Especially if we're looking for a Wednesday appointment. But they've got to get it right. They have to get this right. I mean, Jason's just said here, Peter Bosch or Gualado. I think that is. I don't know if you spelled that wrong, mate. But Bosch, I'm not that aware of. Gallardo, obviously, is the manager at River Plate and has got Pep talking numerous times about that. Pep might leave, to be honest, because Man City.
Pep to Leeds United.
yeah. Well, listen, Man, that's another topic. Man City are in big trouble. But if any of you have kept up on the news today, but this is not good for Man City. Anjay from Celtic. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind that at all. The only thing is Josh is right. And Josh, you shouldn't put his name in here. There needed to be a couple of asterisks, maybe on the E's there, mate. But yes, him is Postoglu's assistant, which obviously would be a problem. So we can just leave him. We can leave him in Scotland. That's fine. Benji says Poch on a 6-month contract could work. Benji, I think we've got to be a little bit realistic of what's going to happen here. Would Poch come to Leeds for 6 months?
Poch is going to want a longer contract for a lot of money. Because if he goes, and Poch gets itchy feet and things go wrong in like 3 or 4 years for Poch everywhere he goes, right? So, like,
it'd be a dream appointment. I mean,
it would absolutely. He's going to want guaranteed money. That's the whole thing. Like, he's going to want guaranteed money. So
Resident Alien says for me, Gallardo is a standout option. Like the idea of Jassel.
Tedesco would drop Tyler Adams dead away.
Yeah, he would. The problem is with Jassel, I don't care about his pedigree. It sounds too much like Jesse, so I can't handle that. So I'm getting that out there.
You're not going to be able to sing "Marching On Together" because it sounds too much like marching. It's going to mess you up.
Rich or Roger Schmidt is also potential options. Nice little list there, Resident Alien. But I think the overall stance. Just a quick one here. Northern Gorilla says Roy Hodgson. Don't know actually. Is he? Someone check on him.
Yeah.
But overall, Gabe, the guy was not good enough. He was starting to irritate me big time. And I feel like I wasn't...
Starting to irritate you, was he? Was he starting to irritate you?
No, but I feel like his tactics and I feel like I was getting just offended by some of the things that he was saying, and he wasn't saying anything that was offensive toward me or anything like that. But I used to criticize his football, right? I used to criticize what I saw on the pitch, but it started getting to a point where he was starting to really irritate me. His voice was irritating me. The same rhetoric after every game. He seemed to have just a written down speech after every single match he played that we're getting closer to his project and closer to his ideal. ideals. What the hell were they, Gabe? Because are the squad just stupid? Do the squad not have a football IQ? Can they not take on his methods? Or maybe does he need to maybe convey his message a little bit better in the future? Because this will be a massive learning curve for him.
So let me first step in and defend you from any potential attacks here.
Liability.
So
go on.
Every time, because I can just feel it. There's going to be an accusation of anti-American bias here, despite the fact that you have an American on your channel. So I felt the same way. So after a while, so Marsch is pretty familiar to me. Obviously, I've listened to him a lot, and watched his teams play. For every time he would talk and just go on and on, I just started putting my hands over my face and just like, dude, would you please? Because it's going to be associated with Americanism. It is associated with, but it's not an inherently American trait to just.
I've seen Gabe. Honestly, I've been with Gabe, and he does shut up. I can confirm.
Yeah, and I'm not about I'm not maybe the happy clapper positive guys. I mean, to see that he was assigning Netflix homework, and I know it's an easy thing to pick on.
That's been leaked, by the way. That's been leaked today.
Yeah, exactly. So
that's been leaked today on purpose, 100%.
Connor, you played the game, right?
Yeah.
Having played myself, if somebody's asking you to do things as a manager that you're a little bit uncomfortable doing, or that sound a little bit cheesy or whatever, do you know what shuts you up? If you win, right?
Yeah.
So it becomes sort of a frame for endearment after a while. If you're winning, and then but if you don't win, and you're just this endless positivity machine, it's comes across as delusional. And here's what I'm really concerned about, just because I wish nothing ill on the guy.
No, of course.
I think that I'm afraid that he's going to see the results. He's going to look at the score lines and the goal differential, and he's going to say, well, we were just unlucky. And if we had just doubled down more on what we were doing, then I think we could have gotten over the line, because he's an ideologue. You can afford to be an ideologue if you have unlimited transfer funds. You can bring in the perfect players to play exactly how you want them to play every single time. The problem is, and here's the one kind of bone to pick I have with some of the folks on Twitter, again, because I'm just sort of weird, and if it doesn't matter if we agree in principle, if the specifics are wrong, I get irritated. Marsch had a plan. There was no plan. It didn't work. Like, you could see what the plan was: high intensity press, put them under the cosh, as Brownie would say, early on, and try to get a goal. But we wouldn't get a goal, and then we would concede soft goals. There was a script for Leeds United matches that across all these tight results, you can see Leeds are the better side. Leeds are the better side. They go down. They can't get a goal. They lose.
But why?
If it's a script, then it's a systemic flaw.
But
right?
Gabe, why did he keep coming out after every single game then and saying that we're nearly there. We're not,
because that's what I think. That's what I think he thinks. I think that he thinks that if we just double down on this, we're about 90% there. We just need that last 10%. It's delusional. It's delusional.
It's a year as well. A year of being in charge, and they still don't get his methods.
I think he thinks that. I think he truly thinks, oh, we're so close. It's going to all come together. And that, to me, is like a dangerous part. Like, you don't see that the ship is going down.
Yeah.
And like, you're just like, oh, we're actually quite close to shore. It's going to be fine. No, the ship is going down.
Well, especially when he's talking about, like he said, we'll get there, we'll hit that point, and then we'll achieve, what did he say? Then we'll achieve greatness or something like that. And it's like, mate, what are you smoking? Like, what are you talking about? We're not going to achieve greatness. There needs to be, I mean, after the 12 games that he ended the season with, and I understood why people were giving him a little bit of, leeway. I did, but I still, in those 12 games, was expecting to see a little bit of an understanding. But there wasn't. It seemed to really sort of flip-flop a little bit. Sometimes we'd be expansive, sometimes we'd be really narrow, sometimes there'd be a press, sometimes they wouldn't. So we brought in his players, and obviously we backed him in the summer. But still, at the start of the season, it was breaking up. There was points where we would, flutter into a different system. Then we'd change formation. Then different personnel would come on in different positions, and you'd be like, what? It was just, I did not understand it from moment one. But
DCat has a great comment here. He said, I think he was seeing the metrics and wasn't getting the conversion rate that he wanted.
Okay,
100%. But it's one of those things where it's like in chess, you can be a theory-based player, but sometimes people, if they throw you stuff you haven't seen before, you have to go off book. And he just doesn't go off book. It doesn't matter what happens. He believes so much in what he's doing that he's willing to literally get sacked, living and dying by it instead of,
before we get into this comment from Miguel, guys, believe it or not, there's 1,800 people in the building. Record number. We've got Brownie coming in as well. We've got the special other co-host as well, who I'm sure is going to be dancing from the ceiling. So Miguel, make sure you're liking the video, everybody. It just means it's going to be seen by more people. Miguel Higuera, great name, says, if you want Bielsa back, then you're delusional. I don't think we've said that. Gallardo would be good, but it's risky. Luis Enrique tiki-taka doesn't work. Well, Michael, you need to give us some positivity there, mate. It seems like you're just listing people who wouldn't work. But yeah, Bielsa, I don't think either of us would want Marcelo Bielsa back, to be honest with you. Thoughts on Carlos Corberán? We've spoken about that a little bit before, Robert, if you just want to pull back a little bit, mate. Knutson at Bodo Glimt. Yeah, Knutson's a name that a lot of people are talking about. Apparently there's someone who's flown in on a private jet as well already. People are already checking the flight scanner and all that sort of stuff, that thing that Leeds fans do, which is great. Yeah. Toxic Tuchel in This Isn't Sarcasm. DCAT, I mean, yeah, maybe it wouldn't be, maybe it's not sarcasm, mate, but I just cannot see it. I really can't. Nah.
He wouldn't take the job.
Gabe, one for you. Vincent Kompany?
I haven't watched Burnley. And I have no idea at the level of the championship this season. So, I know I've been accused of thinking I'm the smartest guy in the room. I don't. But like what I will say is I don't speak to things I don't know. I remember him as a player, really good player, but I have no idea. And I've seen the table where Burnley are, but I have no idea what level the championship this is. I haven't really watched it this season.
Yeah. Ryan says, Celtic manager, your choice, but CC more of a risk. Yeah, I'd say so. Yeah, I'd say it's more of a risk 100%. Plus Angie is, whatever you say about the Scottish League, he is managing Celtic. It's very, very different to managing West Bromwich Albion and Huddersfield. It's very, very different to that. And, the first big club he did get, Olympiacos, it didn't go that well for him. So I would be a little bit worried about that. Angie seems to have taken on every challenge he's got to so far. So I think it's a little bit more of a pedigree. Carl says Connor was very anti-American in his video today.
He was not. Gabe, that's probably sarcasm. That's probably sarcasm.
Gabe was there. I mean,
that's probably sarcasm.
Let's hope that is sarcasm, Carl, because I think
that's an elite profile photo as well, Carl.
Yeah. Let's just say it's sarcasm, 100%. But yeah, I think Kompany. It's just the thing is what we're in now, Gabe, is we're in a little bit of a flux because it's and this is where it's going to be difficult for the board because. And this is where Benitez stuff is getting shouted out, obviously. You're getting Benitez, some Doylams are shouting for Big Sam. But, when you actually look at it, Benitez, I think, probably would be on the list. And the reason for that is because he's going to secure the defence. Leeds are going to become difficult to beat. He's going to give us a little bit more of a rigid formation, would still play reasonably expansively, but the onus would be on defending. It's a real tricky period that Leeds are in right now, isn't it? Because as I mentioned before, they have to get it right when it comes to bringing in a manager that's going to keep us up, but they have to look at the long-term project as well. And is Benitez, for example, a long-term project you want to stand by? Probably not, but this is the difficulty the board are faced with now, right?
When he was at that Newcastle team that was destined to go down,
he
stayed with them and brought them back up. So he's not. I know there's this narrative about him that he's just a total mercenary, and I understand that when you go from managing Liverpool to managing Chelsea, there's an air of mercy. But like if you get sacked, like Jose Mourinho went and managed Tottenham after, so like this happens. I think Rafa Benitez. Listen, he's a better manager than Jesse Marsch. I think giving him a long-term contract runs its own litany of risks. I would probably tip him to keep us up for sure. So in that sense, I don't think it would be a bad appointment. But yeah, I mean, like, what do you think about like Nuno? I mean, he had Wolves playing good football. They were really difficult to beat.
Yeah, they were. I don't know if that sort of expired towards the end. Obviously when he was leaving Wolves, I mean, they couldn't stand him by the end of it. I mean, whether or not that's some circumstance or whether or not, that's maybe player availability, whatever. I'd like
imagine being a Wolves supporter in general. I'd
like
to do something in your head.
I don't know how unrealistic this is, Gabe, but you almost want to pick a manager who is at the peak of the confidence, don't you? Realistic wise, but they're moving their way up and they're looking extremely good. And you pick them from a club, a decent club, a top tier club. That'd be nice when they are on a real upward trajectory. That's kind of what I want, mate. So when I'm looking at your Benitez, when I'm looking at your Nunos, when I'm looking at Gerrard or Lampard, God,
we're not looking at those guys. Let's be clear.
I'm kind of looking at it when I'm thinking to myself, I want a manager who is on that little bit of an upward gradient. Do you see what I mean when I say that?
Yeah, I just don't think it's that feasible for us to get that character. And now at this point, I think a short-term caretaker appointment might get us there. Like,
so you think it should? So would you go for a short-term option right now to the end of the season? Then you'd look at getting another manager in for a long-term project. Essentially, what Bielsa was suggesting to Everton when he said, "Sack Dyche at the end, and then I'll come in for the long-term project."
I'm not convinced he wasn't just trolling them, which is just amazing. But the thing is, so I'll answer that by kind of referencing some of the comments in here. So a lot of people are talking about like Thomas Frank. Go get Thomas Frank. Why would Thomas Frank come to Leeds right now?
Absolutely,
he's got his team in the top 10. He's got Brentford in the top 10. His next big job is going to be a top 4 team in some of the leagues and maybe the other leagues, maybe the Premier League. I doubt it though. And for those saying that Nuno was bad at Tottenham, I mean, how's Graham Potter doing at Chelsea?
Yeah.
I mean, his results have been just as poor as Marsch's have.
You do wonder if he was available right now. If he was available, like similar to what Gerrard is or Lampard is, I wonder if they'd go for him.
Well, these are different jobs too, Connor. Like different managers do different jobs. Like I actually think like if you have 12 matches left for the rest of the season and your players are downtrodden, Jesse Marsch seems like a smart appointment, right? Vibes FC come in.
That's what he did with us.
Yeah, that's what he did, and that's why we survived. However, starting with more resources,
Rafinha,
but like, be that as it may, starting out with more resources and more players and being expected to win is a different job, right? So I don't necessarily know that Pochettino has any appetite or any skills to pull a team out of the top.
True, very true.
Out of the bottom 3. And to bring them back to safety. I know that if you give him a really talented squad and all they're missing is a really good tactician and a man manager, he's fantastic at that for a short-term period of time before he falls.
I guess that's where we are, Gabe, right? So are we underachieving right now, or are we in our rightful position when it comes to a relegation battle? Because if I'm Pochettino and I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, and listen, I don't think Pochettino will happen. I think I'll be honest with you guys, there is 2,000 of you in the building. Please like the video, by the way. Make sure you subscribe. That's crazy numbers. But I'm looking at this and thinking, there's two things here. I'm going to be in a relegation battle towards the end of the season where I've not been involved in it before. Do I want to get in that? Or this team is dramatically underachieving with the talent that we have. And I think we're almost somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, I think that in the first half of the season, you would say, well, they're probably where they deserve to be. In terms of net spend. I know it's only been one game since the new signings, but again, the same script played out. Marsch deserves to go. I think that the manager's going to have to look at this new team and say, okay, I'm going to go position by position, player by player, and scout them. Is this team a bottom 3 team? For me, no, they're not. Like, I don't necessarily. I know that McKennie has not played in the Premier League before. Rucher's not played in Vober hasn't played in that. Like, all these guys haven't played in the Premier League before. But I mean, you have to just believe that if Steve Cooper got the sack, he won't. I'm not saying he should, but if he got the sack tomorrow, would you rather go to Nottingham Forest or Leeds? Leeds, easy. It's a better team on paper. You have a couple positions that desperately need to be addressed. I don't know if a new manager doesn't recall Cody Drama from loan, So like, I just think that it's a little bit of both, right? We certainly didn't overachieve in the first half of the season, but I think net spend wise, we're probably where we would have expected to be now, despite the fact that it's only been one match since all these new signings have come in. You have to say that this team is better than they look and than the points they've accumulated.
Freddie said there's no way that Nuno would leave Al Ittihad. I don't know if that's sarcasm, but Freddie, I've no idea. Maybe you're right. Maybe it is the money out there. Who knows? Jeff Naraja says, sorry if I've murdered your name there, mate. American Leeds fan for over 20 years here. There you go, Gabe. Similar to you. This is your burner account. JM needed to go a while ago. I was tired of the results in gameplay. Who would you guys appoint next? That's always going to be the question, isn't it? I've not actually asked you, Gabe. Like who? So I've mentioned Ange. I've mentioned a couple of others. There's Knutson that's been thrown into the mix as well. Who would you be looking at, mate? 'Cause I'm interested. You seem a little bit keen on Benitez there. A little bit of a twinkle in your eye when I spoke about that defensive manager. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I would probably go for Rafa Benitez because I think he's realistic. I think
Which can I just say, my dad has also said the exact same thing.
You're smart guy, your old man.
Smart guy.
And by the way, when we say who would we go for, we're talking about available managers, right? We're not going for Thomas Frank or Marco Silva. Like we're not going for these guys that are in jobs right now and are doing quite well. Like we would have to double their wages for them to think about leaving, and we're not in that kind of position. Yeah, I think that Rafa Benitez he's coached elite players, he's coached average players, he's coached clubs through difficult times, he's coached clubs like at the top while they were close to the top. So I just think that, I mean, the only thing about him is he is obstinate and he falls out with club leadership. I mean, a lot of these guys do, right? So,
and I guess when you're looking at that trajectory now, I mean, I mentioned it earlier on, and that upward, we keep talking about realism as well in this. You've got to be realistic. I mean, Leeds want to appoint a manager before the Man United game.
I would appoint him as a caretaker manager.
I think and I think that would happen quite quickly as well. I think we know that, don't we?
Yeah, that's what I would do. I actually like. I've just said it. I just really learned about him. But like the more and more I learn about Carlos, the more I think that I could see them making that appointment. Yeah, I think Benitez is probably the most safe option for us. By the way, have you noticed all these people making fun of McKennie's weight?
That's a bit random.
I know. It's in our comments now too. I saw all over Twitter today. They were like, "Oh, he's so fat." I'm like, "Good lord,
he's so fat."
Yeah, yeah. That's the thing. Like, this is a great point by Ryan Dudley here. Like, Benitez was always going to fail at Everton. Like, who's not failed at Everton? You know what I mean? Like, Sean Dyche has had one good match, right? And this sometimes happens. You get a new manager bounce. Like Frank Lampard beat Man City, so it does happen. We'll see what Everton actually does. Although I do think Sean Dyche is a good manager that suffers because he looks like a guy you'd see in your local chippy.
Yeah, he does. He does. I've said this about Dyche so many times. Well, I can't believe he's Southern. He's the most northern person ever. He'd definitely choose on gravel. PRM says they have to have had someone lined up before today. You'd hope so. I mean, as we knew about Jesse Marsch. I mean, they were talking to Jesse Marsch for about 52 years before they made the appointment, apparently. But I don't think they wanted this. Clearly, we've seen by the comments regarding Victor Orta, when he said he was against Marsch being sacked, which is baffling to me. It's almost like, Victor, do you want the club to stay in the division, or do you want your project to work? Because listen, we know you've invested a hell of a lot in this when it comes to recruitment, massive recruitment when it comes to strain. Obviously, he doesn't put the money in, that's Rads and the 49ers, but an insane network which you've had to scout to be able to aid this guy. You've been chatting to him before when Marcelo Bielsa was in the job, so we know this is your guy, but it's not worked. Get over it.
But Connor, it's easy to support somebody when you're not the final decision maker. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, true.
And what I will say is that, a guy in Victor Orta's position, like his job is predicated on how well he works with the manager in tandem. So I have to say, like, if I was a manager looking at that, being like, okay, well, it's good to know that if I come in as a manager, I'm appointed, I'm going to have one ally in the club.
But it's strange. Do you not think it's strange that, I mean, if the 49ers and whoever else are looking at sacking Marsch 2 weeks ago, like I just don't understand why Orta's on this level of keeping with the guy. It's almost like it's not personal, but it feels like it almost hits him a little bit too personally. To be honest,
Victor is a really passionate guy, as we've seen, and again, like if he was the final decision maker, I would be concerned. But since he's not even a major decision maker in terms of who we actually bring in for the manager, like he'll bring his data and he'll bring, but like for me, it's hard to be pissed off with Victor Orta right now after the players he's brought in for us and how we've gotten them. So, I'm going to give him a pass on this one and say I like loyalty. That's nice, but I don't want to see it from the 49ers and I don't want to see it from Roger Zani. I want to see results.
Yeah. Ryan says Benitez was always going to fail at Everton for obvious reasons. He won the Champions League. He'd do a decent job with us. Theo says Corbrand is evens at the bookies. Poch second. I think the Yorkshire Evening Post have pretty much blown water on the on the Corbrand thing. I think they've said that Leeds are looking at something. It's disrespectful, isn't it, to say it's looking at something higher, but that's literally kind of.
Maybe he's been a championship manager. I mean, so technically that's true. If we're looking for somebody with Premier League experience, I mean, inherently they would be higher up. No offense to Carlos. I mean, I don't think it's slagging him off to say that they want somebody at a higher level. Who keeps saying Ronald Koeman?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Barcelona's favorite manager.
Yeah, 100%.
By the way, do you think Brownie's actually buying tickets right now, or do you think that he's dancing to Footloose?
Yeah, by the way, guys, he is coming. He's just getting his Man United tickets. So I've asked him to get me one, but I don't know if he's going to get me one. But he said he'll be in the building very, very soon. So you guys have got to wait around for that. Let's have a like for Brownie.
I keep seeing Villas Boas pop up. What would you think of?
Once again, I didn't even know he was still alive. I mean,
he's a young guy.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but I didn't even. My head hasn't heard the name Villas Boas in so long. I mean, where is he now? I presume he's still managing. I mean, should we have a little bit of a check?
I think he works in the front office now, doesn't he? I don't think he's actually a manager anymore.
Portuguese football manager. Let's have a quick look. An amateur. Oh my God. Is this him? Villas Boas is a Portuguese football manager and amateur racing driver who was recently the manager of League Club Marseille. There you go. An amateur racing driver. And without any further ado, he's here. He's happy.
Let's see the smile on his face.
We've been generating the numbers, and he just comes in when it's all easy. So here he is. Brownie's in the building. Your long-awaited arrival.
Look at his face. Brownie, tell us the truth. Were you actually getting tickets, or were you dancing around the flat Footloose?
I've just finished doing the conga, mate. No, I was collecting tickets. Yeah.
Did you get them?
Yeah, mate. Go on. Yeah.
Go on, show us. Oh, there we go.
Well, you get to see Leeds United coached by the one, the only Chris Armas. So I'm sure you're buzzing.
Mate, I'd have took Mike Bassett on the way home from Nottingham yesterday. I'm not bothered.
I saw on Twitter that Chris Armas is the Poundland version of Jesse Marsch.
Oh God, it can't be that bad.
The big question is that we need answering is will the lads get to finish off their Netflix series?
No, they moved on to others like Rudy. Like the greatest game ever played.
All jokes aside, it was a when, not if. He came across a nice guy, a genuine guy, and I do wish him all the best, but it just wasn't going to work. It just wasn't working. So there's no delight in a manager losing his job, but it's the nature of football. There's no great delight in travelling up and down the country and watching your team get beat every weekend either. So, it was a when, not if. I didn't think they'd do it this quick. I did think he'd be at Old Trafford on Wednesday, purely because it looked like he was backed in the January transfer window for me, and then he's just been given the Nottingham Forest game, and then see you later. I want to say a knee-jerk reaction, probably not because the results haven't been great, but I think once you lose the away fans at any club, I don't think there's any coming back.
He nearly did at Leicester, didn't he? He nearly did at Leicester not long ago.
At Leicester, there were murmurs of Marsch out, and then Villa away. He always seemed to get a result. Because I remember the Leicester game, we got beat away, and then we followed it up with getting beat by Fulham at home, and then we were 3-1 down against Bournemouth, and somehow we won that game 4-3, and it felt like he kept his job. And then we beat Liverpool, so it seemed to push the wolves from the door, so to speak. But since then, I mean, or the other way around, Liverpool then Bournemouth. It's a lot. It's that long ago since we've won a game. I can't remember which way around it was, to be honest. But yeah, it's the timing. Just what are we in 6th of February, a few days after the transfer window shuts, when he's been given the money to go and buy players he wants. Seems odd, but yeah, for me,
They look like good players, though, don't they, Brownie? Like for any manager. I mean, like that. We were saying it earlier. McKennie nearly 100 games for Juventus. Max Vober looks a player. So I think, especially when you look at the positions that have been upgraded, if you're a manager looking in at this job now,
you want to take it.
Yeah, absolutely, you do.
It's a squad, and this is where I'm at. Obviously, we've all been watching social media and seeing things, and the squad's better, and we're worse off. They're the facts.
Yep,
it's as simple as that for me. So yeah, it was inevitable when it was going to happen. That it was going to happen. It was just when. No easy task being a caretaker manager and going to Old Trafford when they seem unbeatable at the minute. Can't wait for Scott McTominay to turn into Zidane again.
Apparently he's out.
Oh, that's a stroke of good luck.
It's only Fred that we have to deal with who scored against us last time.
Yeah, we spoke about it, the three of us, on the last show, that this was a pivotal period of time, and it did feel like Forest was last chance saloon. It not getting.
It was a must win. It was a must win.
Yeah,
not just for Marsch though. For me, it's a big result in Leeds' calendar that, and now you look at it with 18 matches left. And now we've got to play Man United twice, obviously, which naturally takes it down to 16 matches. And then you've got Everton away at Goodison, which is not going to be easy. So you chalk those three off. You're down to 15. Yeah. It's business end of the season. It really is. And Leeds need to start racking up wins quickly.
Yeah, and you don't believe that they can get the results Leeds under Jesse Marsch, but you think that if you bring in a manager with a track record of getting more out of his players and getting results, don't care how, we knew it was I knew it was over as soon as Forest scored, because again, now we're in the script. It's like, well, we've.
It was another game though, where you're looking at the game and thinking they've done nothing in the game, but they're beating us.
Yep. Yeah. But Brownie, how many matches have you gone to this season where that's been the exact same script?
So many.
20 minutes. We have them on the run, against the ropes, whatever euphemism you want to use, under the cosh. I think
Villa was the last one, wasn't it?
Yeah, and what happens? We give up a soft goal, and again, like we started talking about this a couple of weeks ago, didn't we, guys? That we can talk about individual errors. Shocking, not good. But if it's individual errors every single week, it seems like individual errors are baked into the system almost.
We talk about the individual errors, but I mean, it was another goal where everybody's at one side of the pitch, and then one ball straight across leaves Strike 1v1. And I've seen it time and time again.
But again, why is Strauch at left back with the form that he's in?
Well,
you can't have him at left back with the form he's in. You can't. He's been absolutely appalling for weeks, and
I think it's damned if he does and damned if he doesn't with that. I mean, if he plays Firpo, people hammer him for playing Firpo because they say he can't defend. If he'd have played Firpo, it'd have been why didn't Strike play? So I'm going to give him a little bit of leeway with that. I don't think he could have won with who he played there. I mean,
maybe he should have pushed for another left back signing. You know what I mean?
The board must be sat thinking, well, we've just spent 35 million on a striker, and we he hasn't started a game in the league. That's the second game now where he hasn't started. And the Bamford interview was damning.
Yeah, it was. It was.
Although, I listened to that again. Did you? I didn't think it was. I mean, he said it. He's like, we just come out, and Jesse said that we need to stand up and be counted. I agree. Like, I don't know. It didn't seem to me that Bamford just doesn't seem the guy to throw as a manager under the bus.
No, but did you hear the bit? Did you hear the bit when he was talking tactically? When he was saying I had to occupy two men, and I didn't really know what else to do.
Yeah.
From playing point of view, that isn't the first time he's mentioned that. That's been brought up time and time again, and it just felt like he'd had enough.
Yeah, and it was interesting today as well when he got sacked. I mean, listen, they might just like every single Leeds post, but it was very weird to see Pablo Hernandez and Matthias click like in the sacked post. It was a bit odd. I mean, you read between the lines again. He's clicking a WhatsApp group with Cooper and Ayling and whatever, and the talking behind the scenes. It would not surprise me whatsoever.
I mean, for me, it's like when players go from a starting position to being on the bench, and then they get shipped out. Like, listen,
it's not just that for me though. I mean, he came in, and I can never forget, it was before the Leicester game, and he was calling out the old regime for injuries.
Right. Overtraining.
Saying, I'm going to protect these players. I'm going to look after them better. Right, good, brilliant. And then in the Leicester game, he has Tyler Roberts hobbling around for 15 minutes, and then he needs a hamstring operation. It just felt like I'm going to talk and I'm going to talk and I'm going to talk, but I'm never going to back it up. And it got to the point where, bit by bit, more fans just were sick of hearing it.
Yeah,
and it accumulated in the end. Everybody just thinking. I mean, someone pointed out to me today. I went onto Instagram and the team sheet, the lads checking in post at Forest got 7,500 likes. Him being sacked is nearly at 50,000 likes.
Yeah,
it was unanimous. It got to the point where everybody could just see it, and I'm sure you've dissected it in the first part of the show about the downfalls of it all. But wherever Rafinha taking long throw-ins.
Because he won a competition in training.
And then again,
wait, is that really why?
Yeah. Phil said
I'm gonna
it.
do what I've done every time I've heard Marsch talk in the last month.
Yeah, Phil said it. Phil said apparently he won a competition. Yeah.
Saying, who is still letting him speak? I mean, I'm all for doing.
Stop him if you wanted to. Like
I'm all for doing motivational things. I really am. I love a bit of motivation from your manager, but the whole world doesn't need to know it.
Yeah,
what
you're
on
right.
earth is telling people, it's coming out that they're sat watching Netflix. We just laugh now.
Not at training though. He gave them homework to do. They were in sad training watching with popcorn.
Yeah, it's just Jesus Christ.
That would have been horrendous. Like, guys, for me, that would have been sackable right away.
And this is one on, but Brian C said, pick your dream. And we know which one Brownie's going for here. Your nightmare and your most realistic coach appointment. I think that's a really good question.
Does it have to be of like available managers, or does it to anybody?
I think yeah. So I'll tell you what, I'll go first. So dream appointment for me, dream would be Pochettino. My nightmare would be Gerrard. And my most realistic appointment, I would probably go for Postoglu at Celtic. But yeah, I mean Brownie, by the way, Postoglu, his assistant's Judas, so we'd have to leave him in Scotland. Anyone want to go next?
I want to give Brownie the last word here on this, so I'll go next because we've been deprived of 20 minutes.
We don't need to say he's won, do we? We know
yeah,
he's won,
but I still want to hear him say it. Number one, my dream would be Jose Mourinho. Obviously, I'm such a Jose fan. I love him. Nightmare would be Frank Lampard.
Oh, I forgot about him.
I mean, just the worst, and just to have to hear that accent. Most realistic, I still think it's Rafa
Benitez. Yeah. Not a bad one. Not a bad list, mate. Bram?
Trying to act like this is come on.
All he's got in his head is Bielsa.
No, I mean,
I can see him sat on the,
I don't think
of Brownie's mind.
That saying never go back, isn't there? So when does it ever work when something goes back? I mean, it's a non-starter for me. It wouldn't happen. I mean, the tweet from Radrizzani saying he's reached out a few times. That's Bielsa blanking him because of how it
why would you sacked him? Like, name the training ground after me. Like,
I think I'm with you, Connor. The dream probably Pochettino.
Yeah,
it's not going to happen. Dream nightmare. Reinstalling Marsch.
I saw it coming. I knew it was good.
It happened with McDermott. It happened with Brian McDermott. We chased people around the car park and he got reinstalled. So that would be my nightmare.
Wait, actually, Brownie, can I ask you? So I was on Joe's stream earlier, not as a guest, just watching, and somebody kept throwing out Simon Grayson's name.
How
would you feel about Simon Grayson?
I mean, I'd have took Homer Simpson over Marsch at the minute.
I wouldn't have. The Sunderland till I die thing was really damning for Simon Grayson.
I mean, at Leeds, he had a high win percentage. He got us promoted, but then you move on and you have to evolve. Most realistic.
Brownie, you stole him, mate.
No, I'm interrupting because I think this is too good. But no, okay, go on. Most realistic. Sorry, Brownie.
I think Carlos Carbahan is the most realistic. Not saying I want him.
Yeah.
I do feel that will happen. I really do.
God, I mean, not God, but
I do think that'll be where we go.
Resident Alien said it looks like Gabe's forgot to pay the heating bill. Said something similar earlier on.
Listen, it was negative 22 here a couple days ago, and I've been ill because of it. So now
BCAT says he was
Leeds have got that.
He was married. He's married to his ideology. The squad from a back three fixes so much of our problems. I'm having a toast to brighter days. Yeah, think so, DCAT. I think we're all of the same mold. So, God, it's going to be a quick turnaround. Brownie reports suggesting today that apparently Leeds want someone in by Wednesday. And I've just said to Gabe, we were just saying on the chat that I don't think it can be unless Orta and Rads and the 49ers have been chatting behind the scenes like they were doing for Marsch for 2 years or whatever it was. You can't imagine it's going to be someone who's maybe in a job now, because it's going to have to be a really quick turnaround if so.
Yeah. It just screams knee-jerk reaction again. Why do they have to be in for Wednesday? I mean, the Marsch thing hasn't worked. It needs to be right, otherwise we're going to be playing in the Championship next year.
It does need to be right, yeah, it does.
Jesse Marsch appointed an assistant manager last week.
Maybe the shortest appointment in Leeds history.
Will it be?
The thing is, do you know what the thing is? We all knew it was going to happen like that. We all knew there was a massive likelihood that, we'd probably lose to Forest with the form that we're on. We're going to get spanked by Man United twice if Marsch is in charge, and we'd lose at Everton. So, I mean, just out of those 4 games, I don't understand why they thought to themselves, I'll tell you what, we'll get his assistant manager in and we'll really support him right now, because he's been on the chopping line now for a while. So I don't understand why they were backing him within another assistant manager Connor, at that point.
I've just seen a name in the comments and it literally put a pit of fear in my stomach. What if these guys think we're trying to institute a system, it's not working with Jesse, let's go to the father of the system, Ralph Rangnick? What was
the worst one I would
we're laughing, but like
the one who I'm bothered. Do you know the one I'm really bothered
Armas
about?
Hasn't been sacked
on a realistic standpoint, I'm bothered about Ralph Hasenhüttl. I'm really worried about him. They can't do that. If they do that, I'm going to have a meltdown. We'll end the channel. Can't be arsed with it anymore. I'll give it up. I'll sell the channel. Someone else can take it on. I can't be doing with that anymore. I can't be doing with that style of football. I can't be doing with that methodology, way of playing, that nonsense, that jargon we hear all the time. No, I can't be doing that again. So do you know what? I'm gonna shape it up. The nightmare's changed. The nightmare is Ralph Hasenhüttl been employed. I'm triggered now. I'm really upset. I'm thinking about it.
Really messed him up.
If they do that.
But the thing is, if it, and I think you're right, if someone is coming in for Wednesday, then have they been speaking to people again?
They must have. I think.
So what happens if we'd have beat Forest? Would he have still gone? It just seems from top to bottom a shambles again.
Brian, you remember that like managers want conditions to be as ideal as possible coming in, and I think part of the idea of, all right, they've been lining people up for maybe a couple months because they've not convinced with Marsch. If you come in knowing that, I'm not saying this should be the case, right? So don't castigate me here, guys. But if you're not expected to win the Man United match or either of them, it gives you an opportunity to get familiar with your players. And then the results that you really have to win, you're not saying, well, it's his first couple matches. You know what I mean? Like, I can already hear the excuses lined up.
Yeah,
didn't have enough time and all that.
That's why I'd have left Marsch in there. I'd just left him to rot at Old Trafford and just... You've got yourself in that hole. I would. Gibbs, why would you bring a new manager in and his baptism as fire is Man United away?
Yeah,
it makes no sense. You see Dyche coming in and his first game's a home game, 12:30, crowd run. Our manager bounce will be at Man United. It makes no sense to do it that quick. If you want to, if we all know Marsch was getting spoke to behind Bielsa's back, so.
sounds like when someone's cheating on someone, doesn't it?
Yeah, but wasn't Bielsa planning to leave after the season anyway? Like, wasn't that always?
It felt a bit snidey, didn't it? It felt like she's gone behind your back and she's doing it. Like, do you know what I mean?
I mean in that respect, like, let someone be in charge for Wednesday night. If you're talking to someone, great. Let them come and watch the game. Sit somewhere where you're not seeing. I don't know. You can watch the game and not know that someone's taking over. And let your first game be Man United at home. Ellen Road absolutely bouncing. New manager. I don't know.
Scooby, Eddie Gray. I love Eddie Gray, but not as our caretaker manager.
JC said Jesse's leadership council to be caretaker managers for Wednesday. Says Jay.
Well, Rodrigo's out for a couple months now, so he can get in a suit.
That whole council thing, I liked the idea of it, and I liked the whole thing. But I mean, remember being.
But he told everyone again, didn't he? He told everyone what was going on. He told the world what he was planning.
The Accrington game. I remember being at the game, and I saw Jesse Marsch going round after the game. Jorginho were getting applauded. He was picking people's jackets up, but I think you're the manager. Who's in charge?
I know, yeah.
And then I'm looking at the bench, and I just little things. It just felt like he was such a nice guy. He
was like a frigging bed sit.
It was such a nice guy. He was afraid of going up against some of these people, I feel. He was a genuine nice guy, and sometimes you can be too nice. If you're too nice, you get walked all over. In any walk of life, if you're too nice, you get walked all over. And I just feel like he was just...
Was he actually picking up their jackets?
Honestly, they came to the side bit. They went to the back. Jorginho was getting Jorginho. The big champ for him. He took his jacket off to take his T-shirt off to go get in the car. And he just chucked it. And there's Jesse Marsch just picking it all up for him like he's his mum. And I just think... You're just too nice, mate. You're too nice. And then you see the bench. It looked like the Love Shack on Love Island. The bench on Sunday when you're looking over and they're all with the beach towels. I'm just waiting for someone to pick up one of them bottles with the name on. I got a message.
Over the park every time.
Right, lads, we've just had an update from Leeds United. Scubala, Paco Gallardo, and Chris Armas will take charge of Wednesday's Premier League fixture against Man United.
See, it's not great, but I'm glad that it's not the new manager. I genuinely am glad it's not the new manager doing it because, I mean, I'm going to the game. There's freak results, and we always get our annual hide in there in the last few years.
Yeah, but Brownie, in a relegation battle, goal differential matters. Chris Armas is horrific.
We had this debate last year, didn't we, Con, about goal difference matters? It very rarely does. It very rarely comes down to goal. If it comes down to goal difference, you hold your hands up and say, "Oh, we should have maybe defended that one better." But -7, -12, do you know what I mean? It's still shocking.
I mean, maybe it's just Chris Armas more than Jesse Marsch, and Jesse Marsch has embarrassed me in the last number of months. Chris Armas embarrasses me as an American. It humiliates me that he's going to be and I pretty much assured people on this channel that would never happen.
Phil Hayes tweeted out and said, Andone Areola at Rayo Vallecano, one of the coaches Leeds United particularly admire. He has built a very good team. Chris Armas staying at Leeds for now. He and the under-21 coaches, Scubala and Paco Gallardo, will be in caretaker charge for Old Trafford. It's just when you do it, though, isn't it? I get what you mean, Brownie. I've just been thinking about it, to be honest with you. What I can't stand is just going there and just getting absolutely drilled again. And I'm a little bit worried to how bad it could be. I mean, do we not have any pride?
Honestly.
What's surprising to me is obviously being part of a management team. When the manager goes, you all go. I don't understand why it's Chris Armas. It says a lot about him, to be honest. What the manager who's brought you in to be his assistant got the sack and you're staying?
I think he
can't even get a job in MLS. Let's be honest here. He can't get a head manager's job in MLS anymore.
It just screams to me that they're unprepared. They're unprepared for this scenario, which I'm staggered with. I'm staggered how they're unprepared for this. I mean, we all knew it was coming.
It makes me feel sick that Chris Armas is going to be managing the side. I'm not kidding.
Colin in the building, obviously a big fan of the channel. Cheers, Col. Willie Nonto in for player manager until the end of the season. Cheers for your donation, mate. Yeah. Oh, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. I guess, like Brownie said, I do agree that they can't rush this. They cannot rush it because we've got 18 massive games left. I'm just a little bit worried. I'm just hoping this isn't going to carry on. They need to get this right before the Man United game. Like you said, Brownie, before the Man United game on Sunday. Let's hope tactically they've thought that would be a decent opener for whoever comes in. It's a baptism of fire. At least they're in for that one. It's going to be. The likelihood is we'll lose the game, but they're in for it, and they're going to have the crowd behind them. But I mean, yeah,
for a historic club like Leeds United, even on a one-match basis, to be managed by a guy like Chris Armas
when a manager goes, your whole management team should go.
They should.
And you want new tactics, fresh ideas, a new voice. Are we playing the same way on Wednesday then? This is why I just don't understand why he wasn't given the Man United game. If he was getting sacked, he's getting sacked. What were they thinking? We're going to go to Man United and win. We just got beat at Forest. Let's be realistic. Like, you can still speak to other people, and Jesse Marsch still be in the job. We did it when Bielsa was in the job. Everybody does it. So I was just surprised that he's gone before the Man United game with them not having anybody lined up for it. But
I mean, maybe they do. Maybe we'll get an appointment early tomorrow. Who knows? But
you'll be able to update me and people in the chat. Obviously, I've been out and about. I saw a lot of things about Kinnear going as well. Is that true? Was that gossip?
Hopefully, that'd make the day better, wouldn't it?
I didn't see any reputable sources talking about Kinnear, though.
Yeah, loads of people were saying it, but I'm not. It doesn't sound like it's. Yeah, I'm just a bit like you. I'm confused as to why they've not prepared for this. I'm not confused. I expected it, but it just does feel a little bit. It shouldn't be rushed. It shouldn't be. Yeah, it shouldn't be rushed, but it feels rushed. Why is he, Armas? I mean, who literally was. I mean, I know this. I work for the bloody Manchester Evening News. I know that the piss was ripped out of this guy when he was there.
Less than a 25% win rate at Red Bull New York.
But even when he's here, Gabe, like even when he's here with our arch rivals, they're taking the absolute mick out of him. He went because he was pretty much getting bullied. And he's rocking up to Old Trafford to take charge of Leeds United after being here for 10 days. Like, what? Come on, man. Jesus Christ, man.
But then, who does take charge? Stuart Dallas? Like, there's nobody left at the club. Do you know what I mean?
Screw it. Dallas, but it just feels unprepared, Brownie. I feel like at this point, they should have had someone in. They should have prepared for what was going on. Get rid of Jesse Marsch after Forest, and someone should have been already waiting at Monday morning to be appointed. That's how it should have been.
I'm not convinced though that they're not negotiating with somebody right now. You know what I mean? Like, especially with the 49ers, they're going to throw a lot of money at whoever this person is. I guess I'm not.
It just doesn't feel right, Gabe. It just doesn't feel right, Gabe, going to our arch rivals. And we are almost just bending over at this point and saying, screw it, this game doesn't matter. I don't think it feels right,
like, under any circumstance. Like, we bring in a new manager. All right, hey, everyone's really nervous right now. We need wins. Good luck over at Old Trafford. Like, we've won 4 games this season. Like, it's sacking a manager in February never feels good. Well, okay. But you know what I mean? It never feels good in terms of, like, getting the team ready to play and on a quick turnaround basis, which you have to do. Yeah. There's no winning. There's no ideal scenario here. The ideal scenario is that Marsch worked out. He didn't.
So. This Caden's right. The writing has been on the wall. So echoes even more what you just said, Connor. To be having them 3 in charge at Man United on Wednesday just says no plan whatsoever. We've just brought in as assistant manager in last week. We gave him the transfer window. What's changed this year throughout January? Nothing. It's been appalling throughout. We conceded 4 goals to Cardiff. Like, it's been so bad. And then I think this just tops it, that there's just clearly no plan. If there was a plan, Marsch would be in charge on Wednesday at Man United. But is there any difference with Marsch being in charge and these 3 being in charge? You say that this Chris Ram, I honestly, I don't know him from Adam till he came. You say it's horrific. So was Marsch. Is there any difference?
Yes, there is. No, so just for a little context, Marsch had a team in contention to win MLS Cup. He left, went to Salzburg. Chris Armas came in, and if they had promotion relegation in MLS, they would have been relegated. Went from about 70% win percentage to 20 with the same players under Chris Armas. The players didn't like him there either. It's not about, I get it. Like right now, it's somebody has to manage the team. I get it. Then fine, let's have a fan competition. Go down to the chippy and drag someone that looks like Sean Dyche out and have them manage the team. Honestly, I mean, having Chris Armas manage Leeds United. I'm despondent over this. This is really upsetting to me.
Let me put it a different way. You, Connor, people in the comments, if Jesse Marsch was in charge, would you have been backing Leeds to get anything on Wednesday night?
No.
So with these
net
three
result
in charge,
was the
I'm
same.
still
I
not
agree.
backing us to getting anything. So from that respect, you could put Mr. Bean in charge, and we still wouldn't be getting anything on Wednesday night. So it gives the club time to get someone in. If someone's still not in by Sunday, then that's a problem.
But Brownie, what's the name of that? What's the name of that guy who came on against us again in the Crawley match? What's his name again?
Matt Wright.
Matt Wright. Okay, that's what I mean. It's like it's that kind of moment that we have the equivalent of a Mark Wright managing this team, this historic club. Like,
I mean, I feel like I've been like that for the last 12 months, to be honest. But I've said that from day one. I
think we've been like that for the past 20 years, Barbie Elsa.
Yeah. I mean, if my opinion is it's the right thing that them three are in charge for Wednesday night because there's nobody else to take the game. If they're still in charge on Sunday, then it's a mockery and there's no plan whatsoever. And that's when I start to take an issue that you've got Man United at home and you still got a caretaker manager in. You may as well just let Jesse Marsch have the 2 games. It just doesn't look as bad, does it? You're giving him the 2 Man United games, no results, off you go. You've got a week to prepare for Everton, but they've got to get someone in for Sunday.
I guess what this gives them is what they learned a lesson in PR that you don't negotiate with. Elite comment by Paul, that you don't negotiate behind the manager's back, right? That you just, if you know you're going to sack him, just do it, especially if you're not expected to get anything over the next match or so. I mean, it's a sucky situation. I'm never going to be able to get out of my head that Chris Bloody Armas is now going to have managed a match.
It'd be so nice.
Maybe I should go for my pro license.
It'd have still been so nice to have Jacko there, wouldn't it, to just step in?
I'd be a lot more comfortable with Jacko. I mean, when Marsch had his touchline ban against Villa at home, that was the most organised we were when Jacko was in charge. And I mean,
yeah.
We were down 10 men for 45 minutes and we were proper organised.
Yeah.
We had someone on the side barking instructions and stuff. And I don't know what to expect from these three on Wednesday night.
Ed and Eddie.
So I'm looking at the comments. I get it. So everybody, you're right. This doesn't matter. We won't remember Chris Armas anymore. I just like the one thing I'll say is that, you know, if you knew Chris Armas and just how poor he was in the MLS, you would be just all right. Much needed laugh. It's embarrassing is all. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing for me to now be associated. I mean, Jesse Marsch was embarrassing enough for periods of time, but you could point to it and say, well, you know, it's in the Champions League at Salzburg, didn't work out for him at Leipzig, but at least you understand resume-wise why this guy gets in. As a manager, I'm just going to go down to the Tesco next time I'm in Leeds and say, oh, you want to manage Leeds United? I mean, honestly,
it's just strange that he's staying. I can't get my head round why you would stay as an assistant manager.
Yeah,
there must be a cooling period.
You're loyal
like
to your manager
or whatever. Yeah,
you're loyal to your manager. He brought
Apparently
you to the
not.
club. If he goes, you go with him, and it's just very odd.
Maybe he'll resign. That would be the decent thing to do.
Apparently, Areola, he of an extra bowl of rice the night before murder ball frame. Apparently, that's the That's the sort of guy we're going for. So I think he's pretty intense. Someone's just put, can he defend the back post? So yeah, apparently he's done very, very well at Real Vallecano. I'll have to have a little bit of a scout on that and see what's what he's done. So yeah, apparently according to Phil Hay, he's the favourite or one of the favourites they like. So Phil doesn't normally drop a name like that, does he? But yeah, I don't know. It's one up in the air, isn't it? And it's just going to be a bit of a tough week for Leeds. I think I put it out on Twitter last night. I think we're just going to have to buckle in for this one because it's not going to be a nice one. Don't know what your thoughts are, boys. I don't know if you think we can get something from this week, but yeah.
No, I mean, anything can happen in football is what I like. Am I going to tune in enthusiastic and, do I feel bad for Brownie that he spent his good hard-earned money on this match and that he's going to go to Old Trafford and watch this? Yeah, I do.
I mean, I need sectioning, to be honest, mate. Like, after coming back from Nottingham with what we...
Well, Vallecano is 7th. So apparently he's done a really good job. So yeah.
Brownie, are you not going to get the drawing on together tattoo anymore?
Because a draw would be unbelievable, wouldn't it?
I'd take a draw. I'd take a draw in either one of the games, to be honest. It's for me, and this is hard to say because obviously the Man United games are massive. The Everton-Southampton ones are imperative that we win. After getting beat by Forest, the Everton-Southampton games are unlosable. So if we have to sacrifice the 2 Man United games to get the right person in, then that's what we've got to do. Do I want to beat Man United? Of course I do. Can't stand them. They can't stand us. That's how it is. But in the grand scheme of things, them 2 games are not as important as Man United and Southampton this season. Everton and Southampton this season. So the right person has to be in for them games.
I'm literally concerned that Chris Armas will have a toxic impact on the players in a short period of time.
You really don't like him, do you?
Honestly, I'm truly like this. Despondent is the only word I can use. It's inconceivable to me that he would stay in his job after Jesse Marsch gets the sack.
Yeah, I don't understand that.
And it's weird how he hasn't gone from a personal perspective as well. It's
yeah, from a personal right. When he came in, Jesse Marsch says it was his best friend.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, best mate.
Yeah,
some mate. Cheers, mate.
Yeah,
now the fight gets on, I'm gonna take your job, mate.
I mean,
it's just the unwritten rule in football. If you're part of a management team and one of the management goes, you go with them.
Especially if he's like your best mate. But I just can't. All right, let me step out of this because I'm bringing us all down. But honestly, there's no such thing as a meritocracy anymore. Apparently, Chris Armas has failed. He's the meme in America for failing upward. Like you just keep failing upward.
I think the only thing we can hold on to is the fact that Scabala and this Gallardo are there, and hopefully they'll take the reins a little bit, and Armas will just be there chirping in with bits of Marschisms. But yeah, I mean, I can't. We're not going to change the way we're playing, are we? I guess that's another thing to note. I think it's going to be very, very similar to how we've been playing with Armas, presumably. So
that's my aspect of it. We're keeping the same management team and people that have been around that. I can't see too much changing tactically.
Yeah, nothing will change.
Which then beggars the question: well, why doesn't Marsch just take it? But here we are. Hopefully, the club have got some sort of plan.
Marsch is such a nice guy. This is messed up, but I could see him being like, I offered to stay, the Man United match to get us through. Obviously, the club didn't want to do that.
He'll bring him some advice.
Yeah, obviously the club went a different direction. Now I have to deal with that. It's like,
Michael says damage is lingering by sending Joffy and Cody.
Oh yeah, Joffy really tore up trees in the Sunderland match the other day. Come on.
JP donation, Michael. Gabe's on one tonight.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to be so aggro, but I cannot believe it. I'll stop talking about it.
Get
over to him.
Comment from Stephen. Deal done. Get him in.
What's that?
I'll get the comment from Stephen. That's me sold on him. Get him in.
Who?
When you see it.
Andoni Ariola apparently used to play.
Yeah. So
So, yeah, as long as we can defend a little bit better, I'll take it. But yeah,
has Nagelsmann been sacked from? No, he hasn't. Right? He's still at Bayern Munich.
Yeah. Does Areola speak fluent English? That's a good question. We'll have to figure that one out. K-Bone says low block for scum, and then just literally put 11 behind the ball and just hope for the best. Ryan asked Gabe, what's your thought on Armas? But yeah, I mean, should we just get onto that game anyway? Let's not delve into it too much. Obviously, we're playing them on Wednesday night. I guess we don't know. Well, I guess we kind of do know what to expect. I don't think things are going to drastically change. So let's get some score predictions in. Before this, everybody, thank you so much. We've never had these views on the debrief before. We've got 2,500 people watching live. Please make sure you like the video, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And we're back here every week with the debrief. I'm sure we'll have some more post Jesse Marsch fallout as well. But yeah, someone just said that apparently he played for New York for 2 seasons, Connor, so should have some English fluency. That's good. Brownie, go to you first, mate. Score predictions for Man United away.
I honestly can't see. I'm still deflated from the Forest game. I can't see anything other than a Man United win, and it hurts. It actually hurts to say that. 3-1.
Nah, do you know the worst thing about that is 3-1's probably the good side of the coin at the minute. That's actually probably a half decent result. That's
where we're at, and for me, the Man United games are obviously important fixtures in any Leeds United calendar, but the Everton-Southampton games are imperative. So 3-1, I'm afraid to say. They're playing well. Ten Hag's got them playing well, which again hurts. Because at the start it looked like Eric 10 games rather than Eric Ten Hag, but he's actually got them ticking and got them playing. The only thing I can clutch at is that they've got Barcelona on the horizon and Carabao Cup final coming up this month. They've got a lot of games to pack in, so hopefully they rotate it a bit and take us a bit light. You see it, don't you? You take your eye off the ball against the teams that you expect. You just have to turn up and win. So hopefully on the night we can do something. But I honestly, even the most optimistic Leeds fan can't really see us going there and getting anything in, with the state we're in at the minute.
Justin can. Justin, that would be a turn up for the Bucks, mate. Bloody hell! I mean, let's be right. At Old Trafford as well. They're on fire. They're on fire. They've beaten City. They've beaten Arsenal. They've beaten Liverpool. I think they've won about 17 games on the bounce. So it's going to be a tough ask. Gabe,
who's the other guy as part of the management tandem?
Scabala, Gallardo. I've not heard of Gallardo and your mate.
If either of those guys head up, I say Leeds lose 2 or 3-0. If Armas is put in charge, 4 or 5-0.
Yeah.
We'll get
him on a special debrief and you can do an interview with him.
Yeah, I think literally I would say the questions would be, who do you think you are? What gives you the right? Do you know how much you've hurt your countrymen by being who you are abroad?
Not Gibbard. Armas out. Get him out. Disgrace.
What if they do chant Armas out in the away section? Brownie, you start it, please. Just come with an Armas out sign. Support your mate. Armas out.
Okay.
Oh, for God's sake.
Billy Big Lick says going to be up in Armas by Wednesday night. So
keep these puns coming.
If you want to troll me about Chris Armas, I'm at GJ Statamore on Twitter.
Tell you what, I keep checking the odds, and Bielsa has come right in the odds.
What? He wouldn't come back. Why would he come back?
Don't say that, Gabe. He might.
He might after what they did to him.
It's Walter White versus Right Said Fred.
Well, no, you're not getting away with this, mate. You have this tendency to ask us to look like clowns, and then you don't put a score in. So I've got your card marked.
the pot stirrer. I'm just delaying what I actually think. I don't want to say it. Oh man. I mean, they can have a tendency to not put teams away. If I'm looking at it positive, that's a lot of the criticism for them at the minute. I mean, they win games, but they don't win them heavily. But we are shit.
I would rather Tyler Adams literally sit a Big Mac in Rocca, say, all right, we're going to play this like USA England. Just do what I say. Don't listen to Chris Armas.
Stand on the goal line. Screw it. See what happens.
Once I get to Old Trafford, I'll be stood there and I think we'll win.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, imagine if Armas just comes in, beats Man United, then leaves.
Even hearing the name, Nick, causes me physical discomfort.
The thing is that he gets a top job at the MLS because his CV of beating Man U.
For God's sake!
What a story out that'd be for him because he was hated
Armas
there.
The USA national team, they need a manager.
Jesse Marsch assistant.
How's your best mate Greg Beerhalter on Twitter? Is he still tweeting at you, Connor?
He's not come at me today as well, the little weirdo. He's always coming at me. I think he just comes at anyone who just doesn't like. I think he just does it on purpose. To be
fair.
So
if Chris Armas beats Man United, I will fly back to England, go to the top of a Leeds Beckett building, and throw myself off. Because life will not be worth living anymore.
Yeah. I think I'm going to go with I think there'll be a manager boost and we'll lose 3-0. I think we'll be lucky to get out there with 3, to be honest.
Armas plays the rarely seen 2-2-2-2.
So hopefully we can just get this new boss in by Sunday, and we can have a little bit of a manager boost. We need what happened. I mean, listen, if Everton can do it with Dyche against Arsenal, when Arsenal are top of the division by 6 points at the start of play, lost 1 game all season, you'd hope that at least we can have a reaction against Man United with the new man in. Hopefully. But who knows?
Something needs to change because we're only out of the relegation zone on goal difference, and the way it felt yesterday coming back from the game was I just can't see where the next win comes from. That's where my thought process was.
I felt optimistic today, seeing that the board had made a snappy decision to move on from Marsch, because I was like, okay, good. Like, they're actually going to do it, and they're going to bring in another manager. Now to read that Chris Armas has taken over even for a match, it's just sapped it all out of me. So I really hope we get an appointment this evening.
If anybody wants to look at Areola, by the way, who Phil Hayes mentioned, they are playing in an hour's time. If anybody wants to check that out. Little one for you too as well. Areola, Bielsa disciple, could be a name on the Leeds United shortlist to replace Jesse Marsch. So yeah,
Areola Barmy.
Areola Barmy. But yeah, Bielsa disciple. Isn't it interesting how they go from Bielsa to Red Bull to back to Bielsa?
I'm surprised that Carlos isn't. I mean, to hear what Bielsa said about him, that he trusts Carlos more than he trusts his own advice, was like quite interesting.
Yeah,
I'm surprised that Brownie, especially. I thought you'd be a little bit more in camp Carlos.
For me, for Carberan, done great job with Huddersfield, great job with West Brom. The Premier League's a whole different animal. Different egos, different personalities.
But I guess the same's going to be said for this Areola, isn't it? I mean, he's what?
It is, yeah. But for me, when Bielsa went, the natural progression, if they were going to do the natural progression, was Carberan then, and they chose not to. So, I mean, he's done a wonderful job at West Brom. He has, but just little snippets here and there. It was very much like Bielsa without Bielsa's CV. Now, does that wash with Premier League footballers if you haven't got the stuff behind you to back it up? Championship-wise, he's done that. So maybe there's a bit of a shift in attitude towards him, but just hearing one or two things.
He was captain for Bielsa's Bilbao side. There you go. Caden Robertson says Armas to sub himself on, cheeky hat trick, 9-3 full time. Right, on that note, so let's leave it there, everyone. Really appreciate the amount of numbers and the support on this one. I'm sure there's going to be some more post Marsch fallout. Might try get another one of these in by the end of the week. We'll see what happens. Obviously, he's playing the dark side twice this week. But thank you so much for your continued support, and we will see you in a bit. Cheers.